Hello lovely people, welcome to the Geek Cupboard. I am Penge and it is Sunday night, which must mean we are back for some more Sunday night story time in the Geek Cupboard with Tally Ho. So get a lovely cup of tea, settle down, get comfy and cosy, and we shall continue our tale. So to very quickly recap what's happened thus far, we are playing as Penge Cupboard, who is the manservant to the wonderfully named Rory Wintermint, and we've got ourselves into a bit of a romantic pickle, because in our younger years we were in love with a girl called Frankincense, and this same Frankincense has recently become engaged to our master Rory, but now we've fallen in love with Rory. So we have this most odd sort of love triangle type thing going on, which is wonderful. It's becoming very silly and I'm enjoying it a great deal. And now we are visiting Aunt Primrose's estate to help her out with a few bits and bobs. So here we go. Chapter 2 is called On the Rails. Let's dive in. So it says, "All aboard," cries the conductor of the 10:01 a.m. local to Woodland Centre, the village where Aunt Primrose has her estate. As is necessary when you travel, Rory takes his sporty two-seater automobile while you take the train. Really? Rory? Okay, so Rory gets to drive in style in his fancy little car, and we have to get the train. You have charge of the suitcases, as Rory's small car would be unable to carry even half of the necessities that a well-mannered gentleman and his servant need in order to maintain proper decorum and elegance for several days away from home. So he's gone in his car, and he's not taken a single bag. He's just gone in his car to have a bit of fun and drive around in his fancy car on the streets and show off a bit. And meanwhile, we've got to get the train and lug a load of bags round. Thanks, Rory. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. With 6 bags in hand, oh my goodness me, you jog down the platform at a good clip. Paddington Station is bustling this morning, and the taxi that brought you here was unaccountably slow, and so you are cutting this a bit closer than you would have preferred. Working your way through a veritable obstacle course of humanity, you attempt to reach the train before it pulls away, but the flood of people that you must plunge through is vast. Small children who seem to have dropped a coin under a bench, tour guides pointing up toward the great steel and glass arch ceiling for an enthralled crowd, families having their picture drawn by a caricaturist, station workers measuring the platform with a tape measure, and the conductor looks like he is getting ready to shut the door. You simply must not miss this train. The next one isn't for 2 hours, and it would not do to arrive late. It would reflect poorly on Rory, and then he would not have the proper attire for this afternoon's fox hunt. Okay, right, so the stakes are high. Just as you're nearly within hailing distance of the conductor, a man sporting a bushy ginger beard turns to the woman he is walking with, drops to one knee in the middle of the platform directly in front of you, and begins to propose marriage. Okay, I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Well done, congratulations. The conductor takes out his pocket watch, compares it to the great clock at the centre of the platform, and then clicks it closed with a satisfied nod. What do we do? Do we shout for the conductor to hold the train? I don't know if he'd hear us, I'm not entirely sure. Do we charge straight through the joyful couple? Or do we slow down and wait for them to finish so as not to spoil the moment? Perhaps I will still be able to make the train. Okay, we can't do that. We can't do that because that's going to lead to us missing the train. And that would be bad. That would be very bad. I don't think we can just charge straight through the middle of them because that's also bad. These two people are having a wonderful special moment and we can't just sort of barge through the middle of them. Let's yell at the conductor to hold the train. Maybe we can shout very loudly indeed. We'll give that a go. "I say, conductor," you call, unfortunately bellowing right into the ear of the young woman being proposed to. She recoils backwards, bumping into an elderly gentleman holding a steaming cup of hot cocoa, which splashes on her dress. "Oh, sorry," you say, taken aback. "Come along," the conductor says. "If you're boarding, let's get on with it." You hop on board, and the conductor closes the door. "You just made it," the conductor says. "Good luck that I heard you." As the train pulls away from the station, you look out the window to see the man with the ginger beard shake his fist at you as a young woman mops at her dress with a cloth. Oh no, I've just ruined someone's special moment. Oh dear me. Okay, so what do? "You must allow me to pay for the dry cleaning," I say graciously, and toss them some money. -3 readies. Oh, okay, I think this is the first time we've seen us with any kind of sort of inventory or anything like that. I don't know how many readies we have, but okay, so we could do the nice thing and say, "I'm really sorry, but I had to get the train, but, pay for the dry cleaning." We can jauntily salute them as the train pulls away, or we can go, "Terribly sorry," I call, make an expression of contrition. Do you know what? Let's do the right thing. Let's chuck some money at them and say, "Look, allow me to pay for the dry cleaning. I do apologise." You reach into your pocket and find the money that Rory entrusted to you during your journey. You peel off a suitably large bill, form it into a paper aeroplane, and then toss it out the window toward the lady. Naturally, you take into account the prevailing air currents caused by the departing train, and the bill wafts into the waiting hand of the young woman, who looks slightly mollified by your gesture. Oh my goodness me. We took into account prevailing air currents. That's very impressive. Go us. Okay, oh, and we got a lovely achievement. I imagine, what's that, for getting the train, possibly. The conductor directs a worker to stow your luggage, and then reaches for your ticket. You and Rory discussed your travel plans last night, and based on Rory's financial situation at the moment, you argued that the best way for you to travel would be, okay, so the most luxurious way, in first class. It will cost 10 readies. So we spent 3 of our readies, just our sort of, pocket money or whatever. We spent 3 of those already. That could be quite expensive. And that might mean that we can't afford other things. A civilised but economical way, in second class, costing 5 readies, or the cheapest possible way, third class, costing 2 readies. We wouldn't go for luxurious. We wouldn't go for that. That seems that's a little bit sort of snooty, isn't it? Let's go for a civilised but economical way. Second class, 5 readies. So we're going to save 5 money on that, which is quite good. And then we can spend it on lovely goodies. We could buy a nice pie or a cake or something, I don't know, maybe a cup of tea. Oh, yes. Can we buy some tea with some of our money? That'd be good. Yeah, we'll go for second class, please. Absolutely. You explained to Rory that it would be best to make some concessions to economy, while not wholly sacrificing appearances. The second class car is well appointed and perfectly acceptable for your purpose, as you explained to him. Nonsense, cupboard, said Rory, slapping his knee with vigour. You ought to travel in the finest style. First class for you. But, sir, if I may bring up a sensitive subject, the matter of your finances. You are more valuable to me than mere money, cupboard. A price above rubies, as the fellow says. Thank you for your kind words, sir, but I would prefer to travel second class. Ah, cupboard, always looking out for me, even at the cost of your own comfort. Very well, then, second class it shall be. Okay, so Rory did try and get us into first class, but we said no. You hand the conductor your second class ticket, and he leads you back to the nearly full second class carriage. The carriage is primarily comprised of rows of green padded seats with corded luggage racks above them. Cheap prints of the old masters hang from the walls, framed in dull gilt. A single steward serves this car, selling small snacks and beverages from a tray. Can we have tea? Can we have tea? I'd like some tea, please. You take your seat in the corner. Here, there are 4 seats clustered together, 2 facing 2. 3 of the seats are already occupied by what looks like a governess and the small girl she's escorting. Together, they read from a primer, sounding out words together. But you are far more struck by the passenger by the window, who is... Okay, an extraordinary-looking woman in her 20s with long black hair, dyed purple at the ends, or an extraordinary-looking man in his 20s with long black hair, streaked with dark purple. I don't know. Which one of these do we pick? I've got no idea. I don't know. Let's pick the first one, because it's selected. An extraordinary-looking woman. There you go. You halt in the middle of taking your seat as you notice this strangely coiffed, I think that's pronounced, coiffed woman, who, you now see upon closer inspection, has several ear piercings. You do not mean to stare, but it is difficult to not notice someone like her. You take in her black dress spangled with white gems, her long, many-buttoned black gloves, and her tall black boots. As she looks round the carriage to see who is entering, her hair moves, revealing a small tattoo of an autumn leaf behind her ear. That's very particular. You have never seen anyone who looks like her before, and you become aware that the other passengers in the carriage are doing their very best to express their disapproval at her outlandish appearance or to ignore her steadfastly. Leaning back languidly against the seat back, she sits up straight as you approach, and then smiles at you with authentic pleasure in a way that strangers do not do, as she sees you looking at her. It's the only seat left, she says. You'll have to sit in it, and I assure you, I'll make it fun for you. You can see that she has noticed your eyes flicking to her tattoo, and she lifts an eyebrow in an amused fashion. Okay, so I sit down next to her. Nice to meet you, I'm Penge Cupboard. I sit down after a long pause, shudder a bit at her garb, and offer only the barest of nods, or I sit right down and turn toward her what charming hair. Well, we're not going to do the middle one. She sounds fascinating. She sounds amazing. That sounds wonderful. So yeah, okay, I sit down next to her. Nice to meet you, I'm Penge Cupboard. Let's go in. Let's be really, really forward. Charmed, Penge. I'm Hayes Vermilion, another wonderful name. It's a pleasure to meet someone nice on this train. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to offer loathsome looks and mutter remarks to a stranger. Are you travelling far, you ask? Not very far. I'm just heading to Woodland Centre, to Ritornello, the estate of Primrose Patterson, where I've been invited to... What a strange coincidence. That's where I'm headed to. My employer, Rory Wintermint, is Mrs. Patterson's nephew. Are you attending the fox hunt then? I am, she says. Well, that's fun. We'll get to know each other en route, and then not have to separate just when we're enjoying each other. Do you know what I mean? I think so. What I mean is that most people don't like me at first sight, but I can tell that we are going to be great friends. I knew it the moment I saw you. Is that crazy to say? Yeah, a little bit crazy. I feel like that's crazy to say. I've been told that I'm not excellent at boundaries, but I think boundaries are silly, arbitrary things anyway. Don't you agree? It is difficult to know exactly how to respond to that. So you return to the subject at hand. How do you know Mrs. Patterson? I would not have guessed. That is, it wouldn't seem as though... I have a smashing idea. Let's buy each other drinks and then have a stimulating conversation. Okay. I like her. Hayes Vermilion. She's wonderful. Okay, so waiter, can we have 2 drinks over here at once? Just the conversation, if you please. How about the drinks but no conversation? No, let's have a drink. Let's have a drink and a chat. Of course, that's the civilised way to do things. The waiter snaps to you at your request. You take the liberty of ordering 2 May Queens in fancy glasses, and before long, you're both quaffing away. I don't know what a May Queen is. A fancy sort of alcoholic beverage, I imagine. Hayes drains her glass quickly, and then begins to toy with the swizzle stick. Oh, I forgot to toast you. To Penge, my new travelling companion and compatriot. You clink glasses. Now this is different because we're being addressed as Penge here, whereas previously it was all cupboard this, cupboard that. Now we're being addressed as Penge. Okay, so we're clinking glasses. Hayes looks out of the window for a moment. I'd really like to open the window and lean out, but I hear that you get all sorts of soot in your face if you do that. Too bad. It's getting stuffy in here. You look out the window as well. London has long since been left behind, and you cross pastures and long-grassed meadows, still wet with dew, gleaming in the late morning sun. A lone cow lows at you, as cows do. It lows at us. What does that mean? Tell me, Penge, if I may break your reverie, what is your favourite season? Hayes asks. What's that? I'm just wondering what your favourite season is. I quite like autumn. In real life, I like autumn. So we'll say autumn. I do like autumn because the temperatures come down. It's not, cold and raining and terrible, but it's lovely. It's a lovely time of year, and it's all, the sunlight's all lovely in the evenings, and the trees look splendid. So, yeah, autumn. Autumn will do, please. I suppose it would be autumn, you say. Hayes brightens. There are so few of us willing to admit it outright. I'm working on a season-related theory about people. Mostly people will say summer or spring, and those people are quite normal. The little girl across from the seat from Hayes pipes up. I love summer. We go on holiday in summer. Of course you do, says Hayes, smiling. But autumn attracts a very particular sort of person. And that is? Well, why do you like it? Okay, there's lots of options here. I suppose because it's so fleeting. I like the autumn colours. I offer a detailed and eloquent response involving the change of light and the transition into the world slumber. See, the change of light. That's why I like it. Because the light levels are different in autumn. It's lovely. The evening light is splendid. I always enjoy the coming of the cool weather. It's hard to explain. I just like it. I mean, it's kind of these 3 in the middle. I think it looks wonderful in terms of the colours of, the trees and nature. And it's a bit cooler. And the light's nice. And it looks splendid. I don't know, what's she going to go with? I kind of feel like we should offer a detailed and eloquent response involving the change of light. Let's go for that one. We'll try and baffle her a little bit, maybe. Oh, crikey. Okay, right, here we go. This is a lot of talking here. Well, I suppose it has something to do with the descent of the seasons of growth and bountiful harvest into the frost of winter. The colours of the leaves are the heraldry of the failing light, a cenotaph for the dying year. But oh, what a death it is. Nature steals away what she has so freely offered, but gives us in return beauty, which itself dies away. Warmth fades, life fades, the sun fades, colour fades, the beasts and birds know this, and hide their little selves away, suggesting that we too must do likewise. Oh, autumn, how can I begin to speak of what it means to me? Hayes makes a sound, which at first you think is a hum of agreement, but then you realise that it is a soft snore. Okay, she's fallen asleep. Hayes leans against the window, breathing deeply. Then, as the train hits a slight irregularity in the track, the car jolts, and Hayes shifts, her head coming down lightly on your right shoulder. She continues to sleep soundly, even comfortably. Okay, so I slowly and lightly move her head back to the window. I leave her head right where it is and let her sleep. I whisper, "Wake up, Hayes, you're on my shoulder." Irritated, I quickly stand up for anyone to see. Do you know what? Just let her have a nap. It's fine. She can have a little sleep. You don't want to bother Hayes, and though people look at you and whisper, wondering why on earth you are allowing what they assume is a complete stranger to touch you in so intimate a manner, you allow Hayes to remain peacefully sleeping. Yeah, everyone, you can look and whisper. You mind your own business, thank you very much. We're doing what we're doing, it's fine. A gong sounds, indicating that a light meal is now available for second-class passengers at this time. Is that how it used to work? There was a gong that indicated food. That's wonderful. You gingerly shift Hayes' head off your shoulder. She mumbles something in protest and continues dozing, head hanging down. Leaving Hayes to her slumber, you stroll to the refreshment car and purchase some very acceptable sandwiches and a bowl of potato salad. How marvellous. It's an enjoyable enough meal for train fare. The thought of Beauregard, Aunt Primrose's temperamental but exquisite French chef, buoys you. You will soon have the opportunity to enjoy his cooking for several days. And though the thought, the thought gives you considerable pleasure. A businessman lunching by himself coughs and folds over his newspaper, with a crisp flick. The headline proclaims that the well-known sneak thief Light-Fingered Lou is rumoured to be operating in the vicinity of Woodland Centre. The businessman coughs again. Okay, so Light-Fingered Lou is likely to appear in the story at some point. Otherwise, why have they mentioned it? Okay, that could be intriguing. Next stop, Brooks Crossing, where we shall pause for 20 minutes, followed by the last stop, Woodland Centre, cries the conductor. Placing your napkin down on the table, you prepare for the end of your journey. You suppose you could return to the carriage you just came from and spend some more quality time with Hayes, perhaps, if that is the right term for it. On the other hand, it might be interesting to take a look in the third-class carriage, which your ticket entitles you to do. Or, you suppose, if you are clever enough, you might just be able to sneak into the first-class carriage, which your ticket certainly does not allow you to do. Why have you given me that option? Why have you given me that option? We could just go back and behave. We could try and sneak into first class, or we could go and have a look around third class. I mean, why? We just want to get to where we're going, don't we? But then returning to second class. We've been in second class. We know what that's like. How about let's not sneak into first class, because I don't want to bring disrepute upon Rory through our sort of, our terrible, nefarious actions on the train. Shall we just go and have a nosy around third class? Just, to see what's going on. Deciding to indulge your curiosity about how the other half lives, you walk toward the third-class carriage, noting as you do an actual stain on one of the walls and the less solicitous manner of the workers. You walk back into the third-class car. The third-class carriage is loud and crowded and smells of some ghastly combination of beer and lye. The carriage is filled with threadbare cloth seats that were once dark green, but which now have sun-faded to the colour that peas turn when you look at them and say, are these peas still good? Oh dear. Several groups of students and workers are playing a complicated game involving dice and swearing, and a fellow is playing an out-of-tune folding harmonium in the corner to mix reviews. From the rear of this carriage comes a shout. I say, Cupboard, cooey! It's Figs. Figs got mentioned. Figs got mentioned in chapter 1. It's Figs, Rory's old chum, back from his school days, the fellow whose unhappy love life you became privy to only a few days ago. He sits at the edge of his cloth seat holding an open sketch pad and a set of pastels, which he snaps shut upon seeing you. Right, Figs is the artist that's going out with, I can't remember what her name was, we'll find out, I'm sure, with Aunt Primrose's, niece or something like that, wasn't it? I can't remember what she's called now. But yeah, and she's not approving of this. She wasn't happy with this. I think that's him. Figs can be best described as combining the least aesthetic qualities of an otter and a stalk of celery. Combining a certain friendly weasel-like facial quality with a long and lanky body. So he's been described as an otter, a piece of celery, a weasel, and he's long and lanky. Brilliant. Wonderful. What a lovely visual sort of picture you've painted there. He wears a threadbare suit in fashion perhaps 10 years ago, dotted here and there with specks of paint. I can't believe it's you, he shouts, leaping up and knocking a magazine out of the hand of the man sitting next to him. Figs reaches out his hand to shake yours, as if in slow motion. You notice that his hand is filthy, bearing a mix of the pastels he was working with and what you would guess are the remnants of a ham and cheese sandwich with mustard. Okay, I shake his hand cheerfully. I clasp my hands behind my back and greet him cordially, or I pretend not to see his hand. Yeah, let's do the middle one. Let's put my hands behind my back. Be nice to him, but don't shake his hands because he's all sorts of filthy. Figs holds out his hand for just a moment more, then drops it awkwardly. Sorry, I'm not very good at greetings. Not at all, you say. It's good to see you. Well, Cupboard, says Figs, it's been a while. What a strange coincidence, you say. I've just been hearing about your difficulties. You watch as Figs' delight at seeing you drains away, and he is left, a broken and brooding shell of a man. So you know all? I do. You know of my despair. You know of my inability to see my one and only, my darling Mopsy, that was it was Mopsy, than whom no one is more lovely, more worthy of adoration. But Cupboard, are you headed up to the Woodland Centre? To Ritornello for the big fox hunt and feast? Yes, I'm meeting Mr. Wintermint there. Then you'll see Mopsy. You may enter where I am barred entrance. Tell me, Cupboard, would you embrace her for me? And tell her that you saw me, and that I do nothing but pine away for her. Embrace her, and kiss her dewy brow for me. Oh my goodness me. I don't think I'll be kissing her dewy brow, but I'll tell her that you're thinking of her. I shall be certain to do so, and I shall ensure that she knows the pain you are in. Have you heard from her at all? Do you even know she still loves you? I can't crush a man like that. Yeah, we'll go for the top one. We're not going to kiss her dewy brow, but yeah, we'll have a chat with her. It's fine. No, not thinking of her. Pining. It is driving me mad to be shut away from her, where all may see her but I, where she may laugh her silvery laugh like... oh, crikey. Tintinabulation, perhaps. I do not know what that means. Okay, fancy new word, everybody. Go and look it up, dictionary.com. Yes, exactly, like tintinabulation. I wish I could hear it again. It sounds like this. And then he attempts to mimic the sound of his love's laugh, an attempt that does not go over too well with the other passengers in the carriage. A seeded roll and an orange wedge fly at Figs, bouncing off his sketch pad, but he pays them no heed. That's free food, fella. Figs chooses a lower lip for a moment. I'd better tell you straight out, Cupboard. I have a notion. I've been turning it over in my mind all day. I'm not quite sure how to effect it. My running into you is a godsend, though. You can almost certainly help me figure this whole dash thing out. Tell me all. Figs reaches under his seat and pulls out a sturdy tube. For the past several months, I have been hard at work on a piece of art. I think it's brilliant, I really do. It's every bit as good as the things I hang on museum walls, that's for certain. I really believe that if only Aunt Primrose could see my work, without knowing that it was I who painted it, she would be utterly convinced of my talent and be willing to accept that I could possibly provide for Mopsy. But since she is predisposed to hate me, she naturally will not look upon my work with other than a jaundiced eye. Okay, that's fair, that makes sense. I see the conundrum. And so, I ask you, Cupboard, knowing that you are resourceful beyond measure, to help me get my masterpiece before her eyes, and to deceive her into believing that it is the work of one of the old masters. That could be tricky. Well, it doesn't have to be an old master. It could be passed off as an up-and-coming genius whose works command fantastic sums abroad. As long as she is unaware that it is mine, she will judge it fairly. And then, when she praises it, I will swoop forward and say, "Ha-ha, 'tis I," or something like that. He has to say, "Ha-ha, 'tis I," like some sort of terrible villain. Of course, I will assist to the extent possible. I'm afraid that this task will fall outside of my area of responsibilities to Mr. Wintermint. But why do you need me? Where do I come into it? Well, we show her the painting. No, do you know what? Let's just add to the silliness. Yeah, of course we'll help him out. It's all fine. Why not? Thank goodness for you. I knew you would not fail me in my time of need. Without you, I fear my poor heart would burst out of despair. Surely not, sir. It's true. I weep nightly for the lack of my dear Mopsy, and I've no doubt that she does likewise. Do you know how moist one's pillow gets, Cupboard? You think of Rory, just for a moment, and then you return your focus to Figs. You think of frankincense, and remember the gazebo in the moonlight. You return your focus to Figs. Wow, I'm very unfocused. I really couldn't hazard an estimate, sir. Now, let's get to specifics, Figs says. He removes one end of the tube, excitement on his face. You must take my painting, make your way into Aunt Primrose's art gallery, find a suitable frame, and insert my own art into it. Then you must hang it on the wall as if it had been there all along. But surely she'll notice a new painting. He removes the rolled-up canvas and spreads it out on his lap, displaying it to you. Your first impression is that it resembles an indescribably ugly baboon? A fiendish deformed millipede wearing a wig, perhaps? Oh no. Oh no. Right, here we go. Then you see at the bottom, in Fig's looping handwriting, a loving portrait of Primrose Patterson. Oh no, he's painted a terrible picture of her. Figs looks at you in a highly energised state, eyes bugging out with anticipation at what he thinks is certain will be your breathtakingly positive response to his artwork. What do you think? I fight to maintain a neutral expression in the face of such a grotesque portrait. I abruptly try to change the subject, or I attempt to tell Figs what a wonderful likeness it is. Let's remain neutral. Let's just let the conversation carry on, and we won't say anything about it. We'll just move things on. Well, this really is something special and unique, you say. You notice a few people sitting nearby, pointing at the portrait and wincing. You do your best to keep Figs from noticing them. After all, you don't want Figs' feelings to be hurt. Thank you for your kind words, Figs says. They mean a lot to me. Thank you for sharing it with me. I know it's not easy to bear your soul like this. Figs looks like he's about to burst with pride. Then maybe I do have a chance to persuade Aunt Primrose. And for Mopsy and me to be happy at last, Cupboard, I shall tell Rory what a wonder you are. Oh dear, what have we got ourselves into? Figs rolls a painting back up and stows it safely in its tube. This is a matter of life and death, Cupboard. It means everything to me and Mopsy. Will you take my painting and get it somehow into Aunt Primrose's gallery and lure her in to see it and comment on it? Do you know what? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's just go for it. Because if we just turn down all the opportunities in this game, then yeah, we're going to miss out on all the good stuff. So yeah, why not? Let's give it a go, shall we? Yes, I'll take it. But I would need to ask Mr. Wintermint's permission for doing such a thing. No, or I cannot. I kind of think we should get Rory in on this. Let's say that we need Rory's permission, because we don't want, again, Rory is trying his best to get into his aunt's good books, and that might not go well. So okay, we'll ask Rory about it first. Wonderful, wonderful, Fig says. That's the feudal spirit. I knew you had it in you. You won't regret this cupboard, not for a moment. Allow me to start with your luggage in the baggage car. It's the very least I can do, and you'll put it up on the wall right when you get there. Wonderful. I must consult Mr. Wintermint on this matter before I do anything with it, you say. I must be perfectly clear on that matter. I am very glad indeed, Fig says, not listening to you. He happily chatters away about Mopsy, as pleased as Punch. Oh no. Right, I'm sure that's going to go fine. At long last, with a deafening metallic screech and the interminable ring of bells, the train comes to a halt at Brooks Crossing, a small village immediately before your own stop. Here the train will load and offload packages. In 20 minutes, quite promptly, it will depart again. Here passengers are encouraged to stretch their legs, enjoy the well-known La Bonbonnière et Château de Café. Yes, that was an authentic Frenchian accent. An adorable cafe known for its currant scones. And yes, I'm saying scones and not scones because that's how I want to say it. The station also has a number of other boutiques, including Ye Olde Gifty Shoppy. That sounds amazing, which Rory asked you to look into during your journey. It seems that Aunt Primrose had mentioned seeing and liking a particular peridot adorned hair stick at this boutique, and Rory rang up Ye Olde Gifty Shoppy and asked them to hold one for him until you came by to pick it up, so that Rory would have the perfect birthday present to give her. You have plenty of time to go in and purchase it, and you head toward the shop at once. Okay, right, let's buy this thing. You enter Ye Olde Gifty Shoppy, eager to make your purchase of the peridot hair stick, already anticipating the joy it will bring Aunt Primrose and the relief on Rory's face when he sees that you have managed to provide him with an acceptable gift for her this year. Ye Olde Gifty Shoppy, which is always fun to say, is a small boutique with interesting locally crafted one-of-a-kind jewellery. The store gives the impression of having about 3 times the amount of merchandise that ought to be able to fit within its dimensions. It's a TARDIS shop. Shelves stand against every conceivable wall and atop each other, whilst additional shelves hang from the ceiling. The store appears to specialise in high, fragile and unstable objets d'art, objects of art, isn't it, that perch shakily on these shelves. You work your way, with held breath, past a display of fine crystal figurines of the Archangel Michael, with long wings and swords, which extend well beyond the figure's centre of gravity and into the narrow aisle. Stepping lightly, you approach the counter. Right, we can't break anything in here. Whatever we do, we can't smash all the stuff. The only customer in the store is an older gentleman, balding, with grey mutton chop sideburns, wearing a military officer's uniform, complete with tarnished gold-coloured epaulets, a swagger stick, and a number of colourful medals. One of the medals reads, Colonel Firesnuff. He's called Colonel Firesnuff. These names are wonderful. Colonel Firesnuff for valour beyond measure. He glances at you and mutters something about not being able to shop in peace without all and sundry coming in and clogging up the shop, and turns back to the sales clerk, an aggressively freckled young woman who gives off the distinct impression that she has just started this working this job about 5 minutes ago. Let me see, he says to the sales clerk. What do you recommend, girl? What would a woman with a certain brassy style want for her birthday? We have some stained glass vases and some crystal bells with little jewel clappers, and this lovely peridot hair stick. A peridot hair stick, you say? Excuse me, you say. Yes, this looks very intriguing. The sales clerk lays the hair stick on a velvet mat on the glass counter. Oh, I think this will do admirably, says Colonel Firesnuff. No, Colonel Firesnuff. You peer over his shoulder. He is looking at what appears very much to be the one-of-a-kind item that you requested via telephone to be held for you for Aunt Primrose. Right, grab it. Tell Colonel Firesnuff and the sales clerk the hair stick is on reserve for me. Let him buy it and attempt to rob him, to pilfer it from him, or he got there first so he can have it. No, we've reserved this. We've called them on the telephone, no less. We'll tell him. I tell the wonderfully named Colonel Firesnuff and the sales clerk that the hair stick is on reserve for us. If I might interrupt for a moment, you say, I believe there has been something of a mistake at hand, that together we might correct. A mistake, you say, says Colonel Firesnuff, turning to you chin lifted, as if sizing you up for single combat. What seems to be the problem, says the freckled woman at the counter, retreating slightly into herself. The peridot hair stick you see before you is reserved for me, I fear. I rang up a few days ago asking that it be held specifically for me. I do apologise. This is a bit of an awkward situation, but as it is a one-of-a-kind item, I fear I must politely insist. Is that so? Check your records then, miss, Colonel Firesnuff instructs the worker. We shall soon learn the truth of the matter. He paces back and forth in the narrow space between the counter and the shelves of the merchandise. The shopkeep pages back and forth in a ledger, but looks up in anguish. I don't know where the records are kept. It's my first day and the manager is away. You gaze at Colonel Firesnuff, and he gazes back. Very well, he says. I can see this as a matter of honour. I have principles, you know. He pauses for a moment to see if you intend to challenge him regarding this claim. When you do not, he continues. I will give you the hair stick to purchase, and I will find another gift just as, if not more, fitting. He makes his purchase and then walks off with dignity. You then buy the hair stick from the shaken worker, pleased that things resolve themselves so neatly. Phew. Okay, right, that could have gone wrong, because I imagine Colonel Firesnuff, as amazing his name is, I imagine he's quite feisty. I think, if we'd had to get into a bit of a battle with him, he would have been quite tough. Okay, good stuff. All aboard, comes a cry from across the station, and you are shaken from your thoughts. You look up at the station clock, which you now realise must be slow, as your train is beginning to depart. Oh no! With an odd feeling of déjà vu, you race across the station onto the platform, but the doors are already closed and the train is in motion. Wait! You cry, wait! But the train does not wait, and you run as quickly as you can toward the slowly retreating caboose, and then... I make a leap of faith. Figs peeks out of the rear door. Colonel Firesnuff throws open the rear door. I notice Hayes perched on the railing of the caboose, or I have to stop gasping for breath, crouched over, hands on my knees. I don't think we jump for it. I don't think we do that. And we're not going to stop. We need to be on that train. Colonel Firesnuff is likely to shut the door on us, I imagine. So either Hayes, who we were quite nice to, we were nice to her, we had a nice chat, and we bored her to sleep. So, she might be quite grateful of the sleep. Or Figs. Now, Figs is going to be very, very grateful for us, because we're helping him out. So he's going to be really happy. Maybe we have Figs there, and he can help us a little bit. There you go, Figs, come on. Golly, says Figs, suddenly opening the rear door. Cupboard, what are you doing running there? Never mind about that, you gasp. Help me! Oh, righto. Figs awkwardly hooks one leg on the railing and stretches out his hands to as far as they will go. Trying very hard not to think about the way in which you're about to trust your life to Figs' incompetence, you leap. Please don't get killed in a train track. That will be a sad way to go. And Figs grabs your hands, hauling you back to the safety of the caboose. There now, Figs says. All's well. One typically uses the door, Yes, I know. Thank you, Figs. I owe you. Not at all. You've already agreed to do me a favour. The portrait, Yes, I see. So that's kind of what I was hoping. I was hoping that he would be quite, willing to help us. I think Colonel Firesnuff would have just slammed the door on us and gone, no, farewell. So, there we go. It's all turned out okay. I saved your life, and you, in a sense, shall save mine. You won't mind telling Mopsy when you see her that I saved your life, would you? And as you lean on the railing, with Figs next to you, telling you something very detailed about the shape of Mopsy's ears, you travel the final leg of the journey. Okay, that's it. The chapter has ended. Okay, there we go. So where are we? Right, so we're at Ritornello. Okay, wonderful. So we've made it there. It was an interesting train journey. It was certainly interesting. But there we go. So yes, we've met Hayes, and then we've met Figs. And we're going to probably see Hayes around and about, because Hayes is one of the party that's going to the same place as us. And then Figs, we have a job to do with Figs. Don't entirely know what the job is going to be and how it's going to work properly. But we need to talk to Rory about that. And of course, Rory will be there because he will have turned up in his fancy car and so on and so forth. There we go. Right, what I think we'll do is we'll do a chapter at a time. That makes sense, because I don't know if that was a short chapter or a long chapter or what, but we'll do one chapter at a time. That seems to break it up quite nicely. So there we go. We'll finish up for now. But yes, things are certainly interesting right now. I think now, though, we've sort of set up some stuff on the train. I think now this is where things are going to get interesting, because everybody is going to meet again now. We're going to be back at Aunt Primrose's estate, and we're going to meet all the people. Everyone's going to be mingling together, and now we're going to see all sorts of nonsense unfold, I imagine. So yes, I look forward to that. We'll see what happens next time out, but we shall indeed finish up for the moment. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. If you have, please do leave a like. That would be most marvellous indeed. And also, if you're not already, then please do subscribe to keep up to date with how we get on here next time out in Tally-Ho. But for now, thank you very much for joining me in the Geek Cupboard, and I will see you next time. Move out of the way, friend. I'm going to completely ignore you and do some comment moderating. Kung Fu Croquet. Maria, you've broken my heart. There you go, some more flowers that are stored on the back of my pants. Lovely. There we go. As you can see, I'm having the wildest of times. Enormous banana massacre.